off the grid, try not to burn the clutch, get up to second gear. I'm at Cascaval here for a 60-minute race, 1 hour in the Copa Classic B Series in Automobilista 2. Get up to fourth gear and come through this first corner, nice and easy. Ooh, a little bit of hip checking in front. I'm driving a Puma, which is a real car. Let's see if I can sneak past. This series is made up of 4 or 5 different cars, and then 2 Volkswagens. Got a Chevy Chevette, which you can see one in front of me with the Sunoco livery. A Fiat Uno, and then this Puma here. It's a rear-wheel drive car. They're all 4-cylinder cars. The Agua corner, head up the hill. It's a modern series, but I think representing one of the classic Brazilian stock car series, or at least the cars that would race. Down to second gear through the second to last corner and get onto the back straightaway. It's a super simple track. I think there's just 7 corners. And these cars remind me so much. Everybody fans out in front. The cars remind me so much of the cars that race around the short tracks here in the US. Coming to the final corner, we're going to get overtaken up the inside. Got 2 VWs. Alright, we'll slipstream down the front straightaway and end the first lap. So it's 1 hour, a full day to night today cycle. A little bit of an endurance race, maybe an Enduro type thing. I've been doing a bunch of these races, trying to stick it in the outside. Past this Chevette too, just don't want to run onto the grass. I've been doing a bunch of these races in Automobilista 2. This set of cars is awesome. They're so much different than a lot of the stuff I usually race that has so much power. But they still have some of the things I really like in my sim cars. H-pattern gearboxes, not a lot of electronics and things to worry about. Very pure racing, but a bit different than the high-powered stuff. And Automobilista 2 has this treasure trove of South American, Brazilian mostly, tracks. This is my first time doing this one, but it looks like it's going to be another fun one. They're quite short, a lot of them. Keep it in second gear here, just kind of have to ride, try to get a good launch down the back straightaway, get past this Puma in front. These Brazilian tracks are quite short, and they make excellent kind of enduro tracks. You're just always passing somebody. We got about 28 cars on the circuit. Ones out back here are quite slow. I should be able to pass a lot of them quite easily, but the cars up front are quite quick, as we'll slide super wide through the last corner. All's fair. Nobody saw that. I don't know exactly where I'm going to finish, but it's kind of the fun of it. We've increased the fuel burn rate to 3 times, so we will have to pit for fuel, but we should be on the same set of tires the whole time, so the pit stops will be fairly quick. Back down to third gear. You can carry a lot of momentum through the first corner and keep it in fourth once we get going, but dicing in and out of the traffic in the opening stages. Icing on the cake, I've got the weather set to random. Set it to sunny for the start of the race, but then we've got 3 more weather patterns to get through in random settings, so who knows what's going to happen with the weather. It could rain, it could storm, it could be sunny the whole time, but keeps you thinking, keeps it fresh. Racing, I think, that you think of, at least I think of when I think of sim racing and racing iconic cars on iconic circuits. But because it's so different, something I really never have seen, it makes it quite a lot of fun. And almost feels like something that could be achievable in real racing. You kind of put yourself in that mentality. All right, slip up the inside here. Alternating between third and fourth gear a lot. Go back down to third. Might have a car to my right, I'm not sure. Brake check from the cars in front, slide a bit wide. Found the marbles will build up a lot on the outside of the circuit throughout the course of the race, and later on as we get towards the closing stages, definitely won't want to run wide. Already up to 20th position after just a couple laps here. We should have to pit twice, I believe, if it's been like the other races that I've done. Nice launch out of the final corner there, second to last corner on the back straightaway. Leaders haven't driven out too much as of yet. We've got a lot of cars to get through until then. Got another Fiat Uno in front. One at a time here. I can already tell the light's starting to get a little later in the afternoon. I figured I'd do an hour for this video. I have done a couple of these at a couple of hours, or 2.5 hours. You can kind of do a 10 times speed of day, and it makes it a lot longer, a little bit more believable. This will go back pretty quickly to be a full day, but the changing conditions is so much fun. I'm interested to see what we get in this race. Hopefully nothing too crazy. These cars do have slicks on them though, so definitely if we get any rain at all, we're gonna have to change the tires. Ring it out in second gear. Can keep it in third when I don't have traffic in front of me around that final corner. I'm calling it the final corner because I think these days this track, the front straightaway, is the one we're on currently. Did a little bit of reading about this track because it's not one that I'm very familiar with. I've only seen it in the Automobilista games. Got a full string of cars here in front. See if I can slip up the inside. So come down the hill again. This car is very much on the inside. Where's he gonna go? To back out of it. Ooh, hip check each other. All right, slip up the inside. Sometimes you gotta wait, let the cars hit each other, and then go on to fight another day. An hour-long race is long enough where you can take it a little easier than a sprint race, where you just have to always be on it. I think a lot of sim racing these days is really tuned to sprint races. I know folks don't have a lot of time to sit down and do multiple hour races and things. You race very differently in a sprint race versus something that's a little longer with some pit stops and strategy, and give a little, take a little at different places. Into the second gear, hit the grass there just a little bit. Now you might be noticing the car in front of me is one of the only ones that doesn't have a custom paint scheme. There's a nice skin pack on Race Department. I'll link in the description of this, which definitely adds a lot of character to the cars with some real sponsors. And I'm not sure if they're real liveries or just kind of impersonating liveries that could be real, but they make the whole set of cars look a ton better. Fly down the front straightaway side by side. Slide it through. Right up to 14th, and it seems like it might just be the top 5 or 6 cars running away with it at this point. You can see one way up the hill. Hopefully we can get up to them. The sun's starting to get in our face a little bit. Not sure where the sun sets around this track. Hopefully it doesn't blind us too much. The Puma here, though, I mentioned right at the start, wasn't even sure it was a real car. It's a Brazilian car. It looks a little bit like there was a Saab. I'm forgetting the name of the Saab. I think in the 70s, the early 80s, that looked somewhat like this. Or there's that Toyota GT from the 60s. Quite low slung. It's a lot lower than the other cars we're racing, which feel a bit like trucks to race. We got some blocking going on in front. Either that or some pit lane. Nope. Aggressive blocking here 10 minutes into the hour race. found this one most enjoyable. I've driven all the cars at this point. I don't really get on super well with front-wheel drive. I know there's a lot of touring car guys out there that's your thing. It seems like the Fiat Uno definitely behaves like you think a front-wheel drive car would. So I'd give that one a go if that is what you like. This car, rear-wheel drive, it's not a lot of horsepower, as you probably can tell. Makes it really easy to drive. It's almost lose the rear end there as I say that. Just wants me to remember to treat it nicely. Once we get into some clear running too, it stops happening and all that. It's a really nice momentum car, and for being low powered, it still keeps you plenty interested. Good feeling of tires and everything. I'm running on the stock setup outside of the wheel steering rotation or steering lock. I think it comes on 28 to 1 by default, and I've got it down to 18 to 1. Make it less snappy with the steering. Found it much too snappy by default. And I do think these cars, as these two in front, are going to be all over each other here. These three really, we've got a nice chain. See if we can pass them before the first turn. Really ring it out in third gears. We'll come over the top of the hill, shift light on. Around one of the cars, got the other two Pumas right in front. Pull up the inside and suddenly it's evening. Like we're building up some clouds just a little bit, but it doesn't seem like rain or anything yet. Get this Uno behind me. That might be a Volkswagen. Coming up the inside. We're able to hold them at bay, work our way up the hill. See if I can sneak up the inside of at least one of these guys. Second to last corner. There's the sun blinding us just a little bit, but it's at a pretty good angle actually for this track. All right, we got one car braking, I think, for the pit lane in front. All right, diving in the pits already. After just 13 minutes. And the AI strategy in Automobilista 2 is known to be somewhat broken, but it's all around tire strategy that I believe they have issues currently. If you do use fuel strategy or base the pit stops on fuel, they should do all right. And in my experience with running these cars at several different circuits, that seemed to have been true. So get up into the top 10, so I'm in 7th place now. It's a little loose on the inside there. Down to 3rd for a second. Turn on our lights so everybody else around us is. Bottom end of the track here in total shade, which makes it quite interesting. The front stretch is still quite lit up from the sun, but the track has natural shade on it. The cars seem to have done okay with the strategy. They still pit at somewhat weird times, quite early, but they don't seem to take an extra pit stop, at least not in an hour-long race with 3 times fuel burn. They still only take 2 pit stops for my testing, and that is absolutely beautiful. You hear some more video games talk about emergent gameplay and creating these different elements that add together to create something that is unique or kind of randomized, and I think AMS2 does a good job at that. We've got kind of a random field of AI cars, pick one of the random tracks, hour-long race, got changing weather conditions, randomized, don't really know what's going to happen. Makes for a really interesting race, especially if you're just looking for something quick to do. There's enough variables in it that it, at least in my opinion, stays quite exciting. We've reached the point in the field where I'm not going to be dramatically quicker anymore than the cars in front, so we've gotten up to 7th on pace. Now, unfortunately, there's some parts of these cars that don't seem to have been updated as much, or I think these cars really haven't been touched very much since Automobilista 2 first came out. Those are going to run maybe a little bit wide there to completely get out of it. Alright, there we go. Come around onto the straightaway. We got a few more cars in front pitting. The 7th or 8th based off pit stops. I'll have to see how that works out through the whole cycle. I'm going to go pretty much as long as I can. I want to go at least 20 minutes. So unless we're going to catch a bunch of lap traffic or something, we'll just stay out and try to do the best laps possible, but run on light fuel. One of the things that's not working in these cars, though, are any of the auxiliary gauges. The fuel gauge that's right in the middle on this one, or to the right that I've got hidden behind a couple things on the HUD. To my quick glances, those gauges don't seem to be working at all, which is a shame because I'd love to turn off all of the HUD or as much of it as possible. So now we're dipping very much into the night. Speedometer both work though, and the cars feel pretty good, other than adjusting that steering ratio to be a little less snappy. The default setups feel pretty good. I think I might have raised the rear bar on this car just one tick. There isn't a lot you can adjust on them. Just gonna run wide there again. Corner sneaks up on you in the dark. It doesn't seem like we're getting rain right now, so just a bit of cloud cover. It was perfectly clear when I started. Started with the clear weather setting, but then transitioned to just a little bit of cloud. Sometimes it'll jump quite aggressively. Another thing that's odd, the steering rotation on the virtual wheel that you're seeing on the video doesn't match my steering wheel, which is not the case on a lot of the newer cars. I think it has to do with animations, probably. But I'm turning my wheel quite a lot more than the one you're seeing. So hopefully they correct those things. The cars, though, they're a lot of fun, and I think a great starting point for somebody that's into kind of vintage cars. These might not be the idealistic ones, but starting with late 60s Formula 1 cars and the high-powered GT cars, GT40s and things, Ferrari 330s. Those are quite difficult cars to drive, and I would definitely recommend doing something more like this. So try not to throw it off the circuit here in the dark. Start to get a bit of tunnel vision. Hopefully I can make the video look pretty good. Nighttime is quite difficult with videos, just the variance in the colors. You can always see a bit more when you're actually driving than the video allows for with the compression and everything. I've got 14.4, I think that's liters, I believe, left. I think it takes about 4 to do a lap here, maybe 2. The green lights at night shining like that. The effects in Automobilista 2 are so good, especially in the rain and things, but even just the lighting and at night, barely see anything. This track is really dark. Some of them have some ambient lighting that keeps it a little lighter. You just see the headlights of the cars in the distance. Down to third gear. Believable enough, though, and realistic enough that it's tough to keep pace up at night. You get such tunnel vision, it's a little harder to see the edges of the track and push as much. It's definitely a different feeling of driving and going fast without a lot to judge on. Just about ran wide there again. I'll get it right at some point. I haven't raced this track yet in a full race like this, just some of the practice and qualifying. I did do a couple races at other tracks. Taruma, if I have the name right for that one, was a lot of fun. Similar vibe to this track, it's just a couple miles long. There's 3 or 4 of these as well in Automobilista 2. It's just a couple miles long, some nice hills, simple corners though, no chicanes on most of the variations of them. Just have a nice flowing race course, but a lot of fun. Try to keep it out wide here in Apex late. I can't even really see the curb, so I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. There we go. That was a bit better. So I'm up to third position right now. There's a couple more laps till we're going to have to dive in the pits. Got past the 20-minute mark, though, so really at any point we can dive in the pits. We'll be all set. See some of the cars in the front straightaway there. Better through there this time. Looks like the car in front's going to pit, so maybe we'll get to lead a lap to see what things look like on the other side of the pit stops, though. Through the strategy on the other circuits, it hasn't really gained or lost me much as long as I get the pit entry right. The pit exit right. There is a speed limit. This is modern day rules and racing and everything. So there's a speed limit, but we have a limiter in the car. 10 liters of fuel left. Nobody in front, so there's really no reason to pit. Can hopefully set some decent laps on low fuel. And see where I come out. I did another race kind of like this a while back with the BMW 2002 at another one of the good South American tracks. It's a similar idea, but I like this series a bit more than the classic cars. I hope Ryza and Automobilista 2, they add some more cars to the current series available, especially on the classic car GT side. Got that Porsche 911 and Corvette class that could really use a couple more cars, maybe a higher powered BMW from the 70s, and then that slower class that I raced in the 2002 and another Corvette. There's just so many cars that they could add to that to pad it out. And variety is nice. That's why having 5 different cars makes it a lot of fun. Come by the pit lane. We'll signal to the crew this time. We're going to pit in next lap. Probably go a couple extra laps, but just play this one safe up front in case something weird happens in the pits. I haven't actually done pit stops around here yet. Just one run in practice. Always important to practice your pit entry. Just get on the grass a little bit there through the first corner. Get my foot in it though. Car bogs down so much trying to come up this hill. Right to third gear. Good. The one thing I did note about it's the speed line is very close to the entrance. So definitely don't want to speed. Car feels good. The tires are good. Shouldn't need to change them at all for the whole race. Aim towards the pit lane. I think the speed limit's quite slow. There's the cones for the speed limits. We'll get it all the way down to first gear. Get it on the limiter. We actually want second gear, I think, for the speed. There it is, 37. It's a little bit slow in the entry. We'll try to get that better for the next pit stops. We'll come in, get some fuel, and see what position I'm in when we come out. So coming out of the pit lane and not a full tank of fuel, I'm going to go with it and see what we can make out of this. I think I don't have the pit strategy set correctly. It's something that you have to do before the race in the garage, where you can select what you want them to do to the car whenever you come in pit. But we've got 35 minutes to go, so I'll try to stretch this to the last drop before the last pit stop and see what we can get out of it. Coming out of the pit stone back to 13th. So we need to try to pass a few of these cars. Slipped a few positions through the cycle there. One of the Volkswagens in front of me. I think a Fiat Uno in front of them. Much brighter now though that there's cars all around. Wasn't doing as fast a laps as I could have alone there. Just had nothing to gauge my speed off of, and with the tunnel vision at night, it's so hard to go fast sometimes. Understeer into the final corner. Onto the green just a little bit, not as bad as the first time. So 23 liters. We'll see what it is next time around. Maybe the crew knows better than I. See if I can hold it around the outside. Quite tricky. Doing over under though. Carry a bit more speed up the hill, but I'm going to bog down. I do think the Puma here is one of the lower powered cars. Lock up the brakes a little bit coming into the corner. Maybe a slight tap on the rear bumper. It's all fair. Slow from that though, and the car behind me is looking to overtake. Keep it in third gears, I'll head up the hill. That Chevette in front again too. Try to dive down. Thought about taking that position, not able to get it though, and just gonna sacrifice the whole corner. Fourth gear, these two are chasing each other down to the bottom of the track. We can get a better exit than them through here. Right, not a bad run. They both catch the Chevette though, which I think is the slowest car out of the whole group. When he fends them off, see if I can do my same thing around the outside here. Put my foot in it, I'll squeeze him towards the bottom. Get it down to third gear and try to get a little more oomph up the hill. Alright, there we go. Getting up to 11th then. Slide the car a bit too fast on the entry. Chevette's going to come back up the right side. I should be able to hold third gear. Alright, pull away from that group a bit. A couple good corners there. The sky might have cleared up. We're about halfway through the race now. Still seeing some stars. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Slide it through there, final corner. Missed the apex just a little bit. Have to make up some ground here in the car in front to get up. Another position. Feels like it might actually be getting kind of foggy. I can't see stars. I can barely see some stars now. It's getting kind of hazy, so I'm not sure what's happening. Might be rain coming, not sure. There's the moon in the sky, so we can still see that at least. Be some of the morning dew. You can see the sky's turning a bit purple. Yeah, definitely getting a bit foggy now. I don't think I've raced through any fog yet. See how this goes. I don't know how foggy it'll actually get. Hopefully we can still see enough. Not sure if the AI is affected by things like that. like these South American tracks. There are tracks and things that I don't really know very much. It's really easy to write your own kind of story in your head. Do something new. I've just raced so many times around the Spa-Francorchamps and the Brands Hatches and Road Americas, and I love all of those tracks, but it's really nice to do something different. This track is quite awesome. It'd be tricky in a faster car. I do think these cars are somewhat the right speed for it, although a little more power wouldn't hurt to help up the hill. So much elevation. Understeer there. Yeah, it's very foggy now. I can't really see any of the distant scenery anymore, any of the lights. They're just little lights through the fog. 15 liters of fuel. You have to stretch this as far as possible. Don't want to take an extra pit stop. Up to 10th position now, though. Just to pass the car in the pits. Keeping it a little too close there through the first corner. Need to swing out wide more. Get that second apex. See the taillights of a few cars up ahead. Might be pulling in on them just a little bit. So it's almost exactly 2 liters per lap on the fuel. So I should be able to do maybe about 6 more laps. I think it might work out all right. Get to 15 minutes or so remaining. Put us in a pretty good spot, I think, with the fuel load. I'm not sure if they'll fill it up the same amount, but I think they will. Imagine though, in an event like this, there'd be so much miscommunication if you're not, especially if you're not running a radio or something like that. Maybe the crew had a problem on the pit stop and wasn't able to get all the fuel in. A lot of ways to explain away maybe little issues you're having, but keep your head in it. Slide the car around there. Held it on the course though. Car entering the pits in front. Another reason I wanted to make a video of these is I've seen so few videos out there with folks racing these cars or even talking about them. It's a couple league races and things out there, but I think there's probably a lot of folks that own AMS2 and don't know that these cars are part of it. And maybe it's not something that you would see, maybe do what I did. You see the cars, those look neat, but you move on to the things that you know that you'll like. But I'm glad I gave these a try. Because they're a really good car car just to throw around. Almost that, with the race being like this, the longer kind of endurance type race kind of gives you that Lemons type vibe. 24 hours of Lemons. A little bit nicer cars than that though, but from the description of them that Ryza gives, they're classic cars but are modernized. They've got the roll cages and the electronics and everything. And possibly they're still raced. I'm not actually sure if they're cars that you would see at a Brazilian stock car weekend or something. Could very well be true. Got a car coming out of the pits here right in front of me. Another Chevette, so we can get around the outside of them. Headed up the hill. Maybe on colder tires, not sure. It's out of third gear. Wasn't for position, unfortunately. Staying in 8th place right now. Picked up a couple more spots through the pit stop. Getting lower on fuel. We're going to run into the ragged edge this time. Just going to look towards the inside as we'll head the final couple of corners. Almost took a swipe at me there. Should start getting light very soon, but if it's foggy, it may take a little longer to get fully light. Maximize throttle time. Momentum really important in a car like this because you can see how easily it bogs down up a hill, or if you don't keep the revs up. Really should be a lot higher than this, but their gear's not quite long enough and you can't really adjust the gears. I know I'll get somebody in the comments saying to change the gear ratios, but is using all of the gear ratios that it has already between the 5 gears. Actually, I think it has 5. We only need 4 here. So there's not a lot of adjusting there, but it just has you change your driving style a bit or just try to maximize the car. We do have the AI on about, I think it's 95, 96%. So there's a lot of headroom in it if you needed them to go faster, but I can't imagine going much faster than this. So rev the snot out of it there through the second to last corner. Maybe get 2 more laps out of it. I'm going to push this to the very edge because I need to make sure I'm going to make it to the end. We got a couple cars pitting here up the inside. To 6th right now. I don't know if we'll get into the lead or anything. It's just starting to get a little bit lighter, but with the fog, like the sky is turning a purple color. Hopefully the fog goes away. It doesn't turn into rain or something. At 3.2, we'll be able to make it one more lap. It'll be very tight though. This might be what prevents me from having to take an extra stop. 2.8, I should be able to make it. It'll be tight. Hopefully I have enough fuel to actually get to the pit stall. We'll let the crew know this time by. We're going to be pitting. It's important to do so that they come out right away. It saves you a little bit of time. Not sure what fuel level the car starts sputtering, so hopefully that doesn't happen here. Really wide there in the entry, cut it close. Just missed the apex a little bit. catching one car in front, but only up to 5th this time. Try to do a better pit entry here. Got it under 20 minutes to go. It's going to be really close for the final stint, though. Hopefully we get enough fuel to make it to the end, or else this could be very anticlimactic, but we'll have to see. Right out to the edge of the track. Go through the final couple of corners, bogged down quite a lot there. With the scheduled pit stop sign, under a liter of fuel. We'll be able to clutch and coast around into the pits. All right, here we go. Get it down to 2nd. There we go. A lot better on the pit entry that time. We'll have the crew hopefully fuel the car enough so we can get to the end of the race. So coming out of the pits, I got a full tank of fuel that time, which I wasn't expecting, but the pit stop was super long as well. So hopefully, I'll definitely be able to make it to the end now, but hopefully we can get some of the positions back through pit stops, or maybe some cars having to pit an extra time. As it looks right now, it's not looking very good. Back to 23rd position overall. Definitely need to pass some cars here. Get up behind this Uno, Coca-Cola Uno. It's cleared up a bit. There's no more fog, but it's still in the very early morning time. Had the race start at noon. So a lot of the race spent in the nighttime hours. That's what makes the end so gratifying, though, when the sun comes back up. We'll run a bit wide there. That's where I keep it on the track. We can just see the sky starting to get bright as the sun's going to come up really quick now. Almost silhouette effect as the sky gets bright, but the sun isn't up enough yet to actually illuminate anything. If MS2 gets one thing right, it's definitely the lighting and weather effects and all of that. But I would say it gets more than one thing right. Station with this Uno in front. I'm trying to put together the stint of my life here. At least get back into the top 20. There goes a nice throw in into the corner. Get the throttle nice and early. Gained a whole bunch. Got the nice pink hues of the sky now. Past the pit lane to see if we're picking up a couple more spots or something. I couldn't believe how long the pit stop took. I guess to fill the whole tank's quite a lot longer, but a car did come in front of me and seemed to leave right away. I don't think they changed any tires either, so I don't know what the crew was doing. We had some kind of penalty. Almost got around the Uno there. Alright, throw it up the inside. More Mr. Nice Guy here. He's gonna run, squeeze him right out to the edge of the track. Uma here gets bogged down so much going up the hills. We'll see the inside though, heading up this hill. Down to second this time through here. Alright, there we go. Let's get around one, and that wasn't even for position. Maybe I've gone a lap down, or not even sure at this point. It's kind of fun though. I like getting lost in races. You don't really know what's going on. I've talked about that before, especially in 60s, 70s sports car racing and things that I like. You know, you had pit boards, but you really didn't know what was going on. You just drive as fast as you could for your stint. And then if you're trading the car with somebody, you'd find out where you're at and things. And even then, sometimes the crew didn't even really know where the car was, and you're all kind of racing a blind race. A lot easier these days with strategy and things, with how much telemetry you get, not only about the car, but the whole race. So it seems like it's cleared back up, so we had a foggy night, which made it extra hard to see. A nice crystal clear morning. It's fun running on the random weather. You can also set it to real weather, which keeps it really dynamic. The real weather either going on currently, as we now get the sun in our eyes there just a little bit. It's real weather going on, you know, right now, or you can run historic real weather. Up to fourth gear behind another Puma here. Nice tic-tac livery. You can see how much dirt and grime has built up on the cars. That's what's fun about doing these races too. Get around them now up to 21st. I think I passed one car in the pit lane there. That car on track. I like the tic-tac livery there, but I will say the Valvoline one is the one that caught my eye. Valvoline always seems to look good on a race car. Dirty front end on the car though behind me. I'm sure mine looks very much the same way now. Chasing a Volkswagen in front. It's tough to tell the two Volkswagens apart. There's the Passat and the Golf. I'm sure some more keen-eyed among you can more easily tell them apart, but from this angle too, it's not super easy. In front goes to maybe think about defending. I'll go up the inside though. Up to fourth gear just for a moment. Right, nicely around the inside, try not to run too wide or anything. Up to 20th then, so got that goal. Got 10 minutes to go, plenty of fuel and everything to see if maybe some folks need to stop an extra time. Or if we really have the worst crew in the world. See throughout this, I'll mix in some external shots of the cars and stuff as the race goes. Keep it interesting. I know folks like that, but I don't talk about too much the mechanics of these games from a video creation perspective. And the MS2 still has a lot of work to do there compared to something like Assetto Corsa, which has, you know, both the official camera systems, but then also third-party applications to allow you to make custom cameras or share cameras and things. That's why a lot of the videos and things we make with Assetto Corsa tend to look a lot better, or at least more dynamic. There's definitely some things missing from the MS2 that I think a lot of folks would like to see. The biggest thing for the replay system is the ability to skip far ahead. You really have to play the entire replay to view it all. You can't skip to the last lap, for instance, if you want to just see a battle. There's definitely definitely is not great. And it has something to do with how the game itself renders, all the track buildup and everything. But limits the options. If you just wanted to capture a replay of the final lap of the race, you'd have to watch the whole thing up to that point, or you can fast forward, but it's not very fast. Catch this group ahead quite quickly here, see if we can get around a few of them. Hopefully they're for position. Only got 8 cars behind me, but it seems to be every car that I'm passing right now. All right, sneak up the inside here. Both of these two. Down in a second for just a second there, and they were both for position, so getting 2 cars there for the price of 1. 1 car going in the pits ahead, so this might turn out okay, actually. We'll have to see. Nice run on the Budweiser, Puma in front. To the left here. Right, nicely up the inside, almost understeer to the car in front. I think that's the Golf. Easiest way to tell them apart is the wheels. The Golf has golden rims. I'm just gonna block the inside. This is definitely the time where you wouldn't want to get onto the outside of the line. It's up to 16th now. So close to the top end of the grid, but hard to believe it led a lap in the first stint. I sneak up the inside into the final corner. Down in a second again, just for a second. Rev it, just over rev it completely there, but we're bogged down so much in 3rd gear. It's up to 15th, 1 more spot and halfway. Just 6 minutes to go, nobody directly in front though. Yeah, so I mentioned the fast forwarding the replays and things, but the thing I would really like is a free camera. The car views or the preset TV cams and things, and you can pause the sim and put it in a photo mode. That's how I do some of the flying shots for some videos for AMS2, but there's no main free cam, so you can't just watch the race from any perspective and do things where you get nice sweeping shots of the tracks. It's quite hard to get kind of ambient shots and things. We'll slide out way wide there. All right, that's what happens when you get on the marbles. Shot it in a bit too hard to that corner. Different there, put it in second for just a moment, but I don't think it made much of a difference. Just about 5 minutes to go, so it should be 4 or 5 laps. Race ends when the time runs out. I don't have an extra lap on. That sometimes, depending on where the leader is when the time ends, if you have the extra lap on it, it feels like you almost do 2 extra laps. That is an option if you want it. I know some series run like that where they have an extra lap once the time runs out. Gaining on these 2 in front, I should be able to catch them here in a lap or so. That might be the positions I need to get back up into the top 14 at least. Top 10 would be great though, but it's looking pretty unlikely at this point unless I get some lucky pit stops. Right out to the curbs. Using the track limits just a little bit. Chevette in front, and then that JPS Uno. Nobody in the pit lane this time. I can just set my best lap maybe. A lot easier in the light. Unfortunately, no rain in this one. That would have made things ultra crazy, and it was already pretty crazy. The fog and all that, the pit stops the way they were. Thought about diving up the inside there of the Chevette. In a second, just so I don't lose a little bit of extra time. My favorite pass here. Just a slight tap to the side. Try to carry the speed through. Got this Uno then right to my right. The Chevette was 4th position. Hopefully this Uno is too. Up to 14th right now. 2.5 minutes to go. Quite quick into the last corner. It's going to be a little slow in the exit though. The front wheel drive understeers a bit there. Alright, come across the line. Up to 13th. Lucky number 13. Hopefully I can pick up at least one more spot. Really throw the car sideways into the first corner. More cars up there, but it's going to be tough to catch them with just 2 minutes to go. Maybe 2 more laps after this. Keep my foot on the throttle as much as I can in the last corner so it doesn't bog down. 4 cars there in front, but it's just going to be a couple minutes too short. Probably got 2 more laps to go. Have to see where the leader is though. This ends up. I hope you enjoy it. It's nothing too special, but car combination, I guess I'd say. Any of these South American tracks really qualify, but it's a car combination that I race quite a lot in the past couple weeks. And just based on the other videos and things out there, either nobody's going to watch this, or there's quite a lot of folks that don't know that these cars exist. Definitely recommend this skin set. Helps make them pop a little bit more. They're a little dull with the default skins. Might be another reason that folks don't really race them much. Slide around second to last corner there. I think we'll get one more lap, but we'll have to see what happens when we cross the line here. 13th position, not as good as I wanted really. We were going to pretty easily get a top 10 after the first stint, but I guess we can blame it all on the crew. Alright, come out of the last corner, come to the line. Let's see if we have one more lap. We'll get this as our final lap then. Actually have a chance here to pass at least a couple cars. I don't know if they're both for position though. I feel like I've seen this Texaco car a couple times. Backed up that Uno in front a little bit to me. Sneak up the inside, get on the dirt. There's no time to wait. Got a better line through there. It's really tough in this car especially to get enough speed to hold the pass. There we go. go up the inside. And yeah, that one wasn't for position, but I get one more spot here with this Uno in front. A lot of oversteer there. Can't really see on the wheel on screen, but saving the car from quite sideways. Right in the slipstream though as we'll come to the final corner. Right, fourth gear. Should have a better line. Just try to brake ultra late. Down to third gear. Get down onto the apex. There we go. Fighting for 12th position, but it doesn't matter what position it is. It's all a lot of fun.